Hey everybody, it's Felicia with Felicia's World, and I am about to applique this big flower with raw edge machine applique. It's already been fused down. There's 3 layers, bottom, middle petals, and then or bottom and top petals, and then this flower center. I always have a iron-on tearaway stabilizer under when I do applique, and as you can see, this is a really big block. I don't know if you can see, but there's a whole bunch of rolled up here of the fabric for the background, because this is actually part of a pretty big banner or like a long narrow block that I'm making for a new block of the month quilt that's going to be out in a couple of months. So I want to show you how I do machine applique. I'm on my huge enormous Bernina 880 today. You don't need to have a super fancy sewing machine like this. You could totally do this on a smaller machine. What you probably do want is a buttonhole stitch, or a blanket stitch, I think it's called. So basically it goes forward and in, forward in. On some machines, these stitches are set double, so it goes forward, backwards, forwards, in, or something like that, so to make it a little bit more visible. That's fine. I like a small stitch personally. I think it just looks a lot neater. And I also like to camouflage my stitch by matching the thread, top thread only, to the fabric of the applique shape. And then I try to always create these gentle curves. If you have gentle curves, you can take a little pressure off your pressure foot if you can adjust that on your machine. And that makes it easier to turn while sewing, gently turn. For sharp turns, you're gonna stop, and then we're gonna tie off here. That was one petal. This machine is kind of slow. It's meant to be an embroidery machine, which means everything is automatic, but it's slower than my slightly less fancy Bernina. But I like this one just because it has a really neat stitch. So one of the things that you are going to experience if you try this at home is that if you have a stabilizer, or when you put a stabilizer under, and I don't think you should ever do it without, your stitches will lay really nicely and flatly on top of your applique. It has a much cleaner look than if you are not using a stabilizer. A stabilizer is not very expensive. I do a lot of appliques, so I just buy it by the bolt. And the brand that I like to use is from Sulky, and it's called Totally Stable. The other thing that's super helpful if you're doing a lot of applique is if you have a hover function on your foot, like I have, like just hovering here just a few millimeters above, and then a needle down function. If you don't have any of those, it totally doesn't matter. I made my first handful of applique quilts, which actually look really nice without any of those functions on a $500 Viking machine that then just died on me after 12 years. But you could also do this. I have a little Sparrow 330, it's a Sparrow 30 it's called. Like, it's a little machine, little economy machine for more like beginning sewists or people who maybe aren't so specialized at quilting. And it stitches very nicely, and I've appliqued on that, and I'll show you that sometime too, so you can see that you don't really need the sewing machine that costs as much as a Honda Civic in order to do this. Okay, it's not as much as a Honda Civic, but I mean, it is pretty ridiculous. So anyway, so you don't need a super fancy machine for this. And when I'm teaching classes, one of the things that I see students trying to do, especially if they're coming from more of a piecing background, is that they try to go super fast. But this isn't a race, so you don't go faster than that you have complete control. You can also notice that I'm keeping my stitches nice and small. So on this Bernina, they're actually set to 1.4 width and 1.4 length. If you can't set it that detailed, 1.5 is usually a good place for most machines for this. And beginners tend to think that it's going to be easier to keep a really big stitch, but you're not going to be driving around on your machine like a drunk person. So set your stitch nice and small, and what you're aiming for is to have the needle, when it's going on the forward part of the stitch, to just be right on the outer margin of the applique shape. So one of the things that I really love about rouage machine appliques, you get to fuse all of your shapes down before you start sewing, and so you can kind of see how your piece turns out, and then you put the stitches on, and it just kind of becomes this nice outlining process of something that's already in place. It's super satisfying, and it's very easy to do. I mean, it might take you just a few hours to kind of get control. It's almost like as if you were driving a car or bicycling and you have to kind of learn how to stay in your lane. I mean, that's all it is. I'm not a very good piecer, so I like applique because I don't have to worry about those quarter and seam allowances that for me are always like, you know, 5/16 or 3/16. I mean, my seam allowances just aren't that great. I don't know why. They're bad enough that it catches up when I try to do, you know, kind of intricate piecing with small pieces. So I like applique because I'm really free. I'm working on a much larger surface, and also if you can draw it, you can pretty much applique it. You're not confined to straight line and gentle curves. You can do whatever you want, and so I like that freedom personally. I like organic shapes. I like things that undulate and aren't completely symmetrical maybe. So I can give it a go. Okay, we're almost done here. So I always, when I'm appliquing like this, I always start with the bottom layer, and it just has to do with the fact that then the start and stop point will be covered by a continuous seam on top. So where I'm starting here on the blue, for example, that will be covered by the thread I'm using for the light blue over it. And I think it looks like a smidge neater. So as a general rule, that's how I do it. And I also fuse all of my pieces down before sewing, partly because I don't want to have seaming under pieces. So when you have overlapping pieces like here, I don't want to have that stitch go under and create bulk under this piece. So it looks neater to do it this way. But, you know, there are situations where I've done things other ways, but this is how I recommend it as a general rule. Let's see if I can get that all up here. Oops, sorry about that. So it's really important to stop and make adjustments. And you can see even with that, this is not like that slow of a process. But obviously when I have a big piece like this, which is I think almost 60 inches long, it creates a little bit of more of a challenge to go around corners and so forth, just to make sure my quilt block isn't hindering my stitching. And there we go. Okay, so that was the last of the blue. So now, just so they don't become a problem later on in the process, I'm going to cut all these little strings off, leftover threads. So we don't have to deal with it. And then I'm going to switch thread color. So I certainly don't want this dark blue on top of the light blue fabric. I think that would look kind of yucky. So I pull out the thread, and then I have this really bright turquoise here. It's like an icy turquoisey blue that I'm going to use for the light blue petals. As I said, this machine does almost everything on its own, except it doesn't give pedicures. This is terrible. I think I'm going to look for a sewing machine that gives pedicures and maybe neck massages. So I'm just going to start up here, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing all the way around on the blue. And what's really cool on the blue here, I'm going to show you this once, and then I'm going to probably speed up this video so that you can get through this before you fall asleep. Let's see here. So I'm getting in here to this. And now, since the next petal is gonna just be there, I'm just gonna pivot right back out. I'm not gonna tie off, and I'm just gonna continue sewing. Okay, so there are all the flowers, or all the flower petals, I should say. Cool. Dust bunnies on there. Okay, the lint. Then we're going to change color again because we're going to do the black flower center. That's pretty quick. So notice that I'm not changing the color in the bobbin. So on top, for those of you who are curious, I am sewing with Aurifil 50 weight cotton Mako. That is my favorite thread for anything machine sewing related for quilting. But in the bottom, I don't change the color. That would take forever. And I have the tension set so that the top thread actually goes to the bottom. So if you want, the bottom is set a little bit tighter, with more tension than I normally would if I was piecing by far, right? So the top thread is pulled down to the bottom, and the bobbin thread is almost running in a straight line here, which is perfectly fine for applique. And so what happens is that there's no bottom thread peeking up anywhere here, and you can see how nice and flat these stitches lay. And then, so what I keep on the bottom is I keep a thread called Bottom Line. It's made by Superior Thread, and I just picked like a neutral color. I'm pretty sure I have a light gray in the bobbin right now. And Bottom Line is super thin. So one of the advantages is that it saves you the time of running back and forth and filling 40,000 bobbins with thread to match your top colors as you change those out. So it saves time, and it's I think it saves some money because you're just keeping that one thread in the bottom for almost everything you do. So it's convenient. And so for the top, I tend to keep a pretty big stable of threads in my arsenal. And generally, Aurifil, if you're not familiar with it, comes in these little spools. And it also comes in these big spools. So big spool is pretty expensive. I wonder if it's about $14 or so. It's, a kilometer of thread. It's a lot. You don't need that much thread for machine applique in all these colors. So instead, I just buy the little spools. And then you can see how fine this is. This is a 2-ply thread. It works really, really well for almost everything quilting related. And so I buy the little spools of all these different colors that I want. And then, these little spools will last me for a long time. So it's a little tip. And so start by, building a little bit of a thread stable and buy some basics and the kind of color world that you like to live in. And then start supplementing as you need to, and you'll have a nice stable of thread in no time. And you don't need to have every shade under the rainbow. Probably you have favorite colors that you like to work with, and so you should just kind of expand and have shades in the colors that you like to work with a lot. Like I have blues now, but for the longest time, because blue is not like a major important color for my work, I tend to lean into the pinks quite a bit. And I like earth tones a lot and so forth. So for the longest time, I didn't have a lot of good blues. Actually, I just recently acquired the ones that I were using because I needed them for a specific project. And I've been at this for, 10 years or so. So yes, I have, 150 different colors of Aurifil thread, if that's how many it comes in. I don't have all of them. Maybe I have 110. But you don't need to start out with nearly that much. So and so we're coming up here. We almost finished our flower. Yay! See? So for all that talk about applique taking a long time, it totally didn't. So here, you guys, is our beautiful flower. Let me see if I can see. It's all done. And thank you for watching. If you love learning about applique and paper piecing and you want to learn more, head over to feliciasworld.com and check out my tutorials and my applique patterns over there. Take care.